Hello everybody, my name is Kyle39. Welcome back to another video. Today in this one, I want to talk to you about Valiant Smashers. This is the newest Yu-Gi-Oh set that will be released later this week, and it's looking rough, folks. It probably doesn't help that it has to follow up on not only Age of Overlord, but the 25th anniversary collection as well. You know, the two best sets of the entire year, so that's not doing it any favors whatsoever. But I want to look at Valiant Smashers as a competitive standpoint. Is its three main archetypes inside the Valiant Smashers actually going to change the meta? And those three archetypes being Centurion, Memento, and Valmonica. Today we're talking about Memento. Memento's main gimmick basically revolves around getting Memento, the Nether Skull Dragon, out onto the field. What does Memento Nether Skull Dragon does? Well, it has a summon condition, so it cannot be normal summon / set, must be special summon from your hand or graveyard by shuffling 5 other Memento monsters with different names from your hand and or graveyard back into the deck or extra deck. So that's its summon condition, and its effects is if you control no other monsters, this card can attack all your opponent's monsters once each. And once per turn, if your opponent activates a card or effect, you can special summon 1 Memento monster from your hand or graveyard. So pretty decent effect. It's also a 5k beater, which is insane as well. So basically the entire Memento archetype is trying to get Memento cards into the graveyard so you can actually summon this guy. And they also have effects if you have Nether Skull Dragon on the field as well. So without further ado, let's actually get into the rest of the archetype. We'll start off with Memento Mace, which is a level 1 light fairy monster. During your opponent's main phase, if you control a Memento Nether Skull Dragon, quick effect, you can discard this card, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, take control of it until the end phase. Pretty good top effect there. And during the main phase, you can destroy 1 Memento monster you control, and if you do, add 1 Memento card from your deck to your hand, except for Memento Mace. You can only use each effect once per turn. Now that's very good, a very good card overall. So basically, if you have another Soul Dragon on the field, it's a snatch steal during your opponent's turn, which is absolutely insane. But it can search any Memento card from your deck to your hand by destroying a Memento monster you control. Now that's actually not that bad because it doesn't need to be another Memento monster you control. This is kind of the thing with the archetype. You don't need to destroy another Memento monster for the monster's effect. You can just destroy the Memento monster you're activating to get that effect. So basically, you can just pop the Memento Mace to search any Memento card from your deck to hand, which is absolutely insane. Very good effect there. We have Memento Goblin, which is a level 1 Dark Fiend monster. During the main phase, if you control a Memento Nether Skull Dragon, you can discard this card. Your opponent cannot target Memento monsters you control with card effects this turn. Very decent effect there. And then its bottom effect is during your main phase, you can destroy 1 Memento monster you control, and if you do, send up to 2 Memento cards with different names from each other from your deck to the graveyard, and you can only use each effect once per turn. Very insane card effect. So not only does it prevent targeting if you control a Nether Soul Dragon by discarding it, but you can also destroy it on field to dump 2 Memento cards from your deck to graveyard to kind of help you get to the Nether Soul Dragon. Very good card as well. We got Memento Fairy Witch, which is a level 3 dark spellcaster monster. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 Memento monster from your deck to your hand, except for Fairy Witch. Very insane card. So basically just a Rhoda for any Memento monster in your deck. Very insane. And you can target 1 level 2 or lower Memento monster in your graveyard, destroy 1 Memento monster you control, and if you do, special summon the targeted card. That is very insane. Basically, you can special summon any Memento monster you send to the graveyard by just destroying the Fairy Witch you have on field. So very, very good for both effects. You can not only search any Memento monster, but you can also special summon a Memento monster back from the graveyard as well. Very, very good card there as well. We got Memento Dark Blade, which is a level 4 Dark Warrior monster. If this card is normal or special summon, you can discard 1 Memento card, then target a spell trap your opponent controls, destroy it. So it's an MST by discarding a card, which is okay. And during your main phase, you can destroy 1 Memento monster you control, and if you do, special summon a level 3 or lower Memento monster from your deck. Very, very, very good. This has a couple targets, so meaning you can destroy itself to summon out the Fairy Witch, which is insane. Very, very good just for consistency as well. We got Memento Tatsunetsugo? I'm definitely mispronouncing that. It's a level 5 Earth Beast monster. If you control no face-up monsters other than Memento monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, so basically just a free special summon. And during your main phase, you can destroy one Memento monster you control. And if you do, send any number of Memento monsters with different names from each other from the deck to the graveyard whose total levels equal to or is less than or equal to the monsters that you destroyed. So basically, you can destroy, let's say you destroy itself, you can send Memento monsters from deck to the graveyard that equal level 5, which is very, very insane. Just a good way to get Memento monsters into the graveyard to help you summon out that Nether Soul Dragon. Very, very good card overall. We got the Memento Horn Dragon, which is a level 7 Dark Dragon monster. If you have 3 or more Memento monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can just special summon this card out on the field. And if this card on the field is destroyed by card effect, you can target 3 face-up cards you're on the field, including a Memento card you control. Destroy all of them. So basically, it's a pop 2 on your opponent's field and a pop 1 on your field if this card is destroyed by card effect, and it's a free special summon. Very, very good as well. So that's the entire monsters. Now let's get into the spell traps. We'll start off with their field spell, Nether Soul Temple Mementolon. If a Memento monster battles, your opponent cannot activate spell trap cards until the end of the damage step. And if a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, target one of them, special summon a Memento monster with a lower level from your hand or graveyard, which is very good. So not only does you popping your cards actually gain you effects, then this card can also reborn another Memento with a different or with a level less than that monster, which is very, very good. And during the end phase, you can target one Memento spell trap in your graveyard and set it to your field. So reoccursion for your spell traps as well is always going to be very nice. And so they have 2 quick play spells. They have Memento Bone Party. You can destroy one Memento monster in your hand or face-up field, and if you do, take a Memento monster with a different name from your deck, either add it to your hand or special summon it in defense position. So basically, just a good way to not only destroy a Memento card you control, or a monster from your hand or field, but then you can special summon another Memento with a different name from your deck, which is very, very good. And during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a Memento monster you control. If it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. That not that great, but the top effect is really good just to get more consistency plays for your deck. So very, very good. And the last one, quick play spell, is Memento Bone Back. If a face-up Memento monster you control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, special summon one Memento, the Nether Soul Dragon, from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. And in the graveyard, if your opponent moves a Memento monster out of the graveyard while this card's in your graveyard, you can banish this card, special summon as many Memento monsters as possible with different names from your hand and or deck. Very insane. So basically, if a Memento monster leaves the field because of an opponent card effect, you can just cheat out the Nether Soul Dragon, which is very good. And then the bottom effect, if they decide to move anything from your Memento card, or does it have to be a card or a monster? Moves a Memento monster out of your graveyard, you can just special summon any Memento cards for your or monsters from your deck, which is fucking insane. Now they can just play around that if they know this card's in your graveyard. They could just not move anything from your graveyard, which, you know, there is that. But again, all right cards. Not the best, but it's not the worst I've seen either. They have 2 trap cards as well. They have Memento Fracture Dance. If you control a Memento monster, target a card on the field, destroy it. Then if you control a Nether Soul Dragon, you can destroy one more card on the field. And when attack is declared involving a Memento monster and an opponent's monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard. All face-up monsters your opponent controls currently lose 1,000 attack until the end of the turn. So basically, it's a pop, for sure pop if you control a Memento monster, but it's a pop 2 if you control a Nether Soul Dragon as well, and then it kind of helps out in the battle phase as well. Very decent card for the archetype. And we have Memento Cranium Burst, which is a continuous trap card. While you control a Memento monster, your opponent monsters that can attack must attack the Memento monster you control with the highest attack, your choice if tied. And when an opponent activates a monster effect on the field, you can target one Memento, the Nether Soul Dragon you control. It loses 1,000 attack and defense. and if it does, negate the activated effect. So basically, this is potentially like 5 negates on the field. Since the Nether Skull Dragon has 5,000 attack, it can negate 5 monster effects. Now, I'm saying potentially because, again, it's like the Appaloosa kind of effect, where if it's at 1,000 attack, they can just beat over it if they wanted to. But it also has that top effect where they must attack a Memento monster with the highest attack as well, kind of trying to give that protection to Nether Skull Dragon. So overall, a very good card as well. So now that we have covered all the cards in the archetype, what is the deck trying to do competitively? Well, let me show you the combo real quick. So all you really need is the field spell and any way to Fairy Witch. Darkblade does it here, so that will get us there, but all you really need is the field spell and any way to Fairy Witch. So now let's show you the combo, shall we? So we'll go, standby main phase, whatever. We'll activate the field spell, then we'll go Darkblade effect to destroy itself so normal summon the Darkblade, destroy it for its own effect to summon out Fairy Witch from the deck. Then on summon, we'll do Fairy Witch to search out the the horse. We'll just say the horse. Search out the horse, and then we'll go ahead and activate the effect to special summon itself out onto the field. Then we'll use its effect on field. We'll destroy itself to send Mace, Goblin, and Fairy Witch to the graveyard. Then we'll activate the field spell. We'll target the level 5, and we'll special summon a Memento with a different level or a level lower than that. We'll special summon Mace to the field. Then we'll do Mace's effect, destroy itself to search any Memento or card from the deck. We'll search Memento Fracture Dance here. Then we'll do Fairy Witch effect, destroy itself to special summon out the Memento Goblin. Then we'll do Memento Goblin, destroy itself to send the Nether Soul Dragon and the Continuous Trap card here. And we have 5 different names in the graveyard. Now we can summon out the Nether Soul Dragon from the graveyard, shuffling back 5 different names from the graveyard back into the deck. And we'll just basically end on that. We'll set the trap, we'll go end phase, field spell, we'll set the Continuous Trap back from the graveyard as well, and we'll pass on that. So just off the 2 cards that we have in hand, we actually have a lot of interruptions here. So we'll go standby main phase. If your opponent activates a card effect, we'll do the Nether Skull Dragon on the field to special summon out Mace, or not Mace, we'll go Fairy Witch, then Fairy Witch will search out Mace from the deck here. And now we have a situation of interaction. So we have a pop 2 off the Fracture Dance here. Since we control the Nether Soul Dragon, it's now a pop 2. And since we have the Continuous Trap card here, that's potentially 5 negates. Since we have the Nether Skull Dragon out on the field, it's at 5,000 attack and defense, basically meaning it can be up to 5 negates if we really want to. So very good as that. It's only for monsters on the field, do remind for that, but that's potentially 5 monster negates on the field. And then we also have the Mace in hand as well, which is just a snatch steal, which is absolutely insane as well since we control that. So basically, this is technically 8 interruptions off of just 2 cards by itself, and then this didn't really need its extra deck either. So very, very good for the entire deck. Just 2 cards getting 8 interruptions without the extra deck. That's very insane. So what are my thoughts on Memento? Well, I'm going to lead you with this. What do I think out of all the Valiant Smashers archetypes, what do I think will be the most playable first day out of the box? Well, in my opinion, I think that is Centurion. But what has the most potential to do something in the future? In my opinion, that is Memento. If they get future support that actually does something for the archetype, I feel like this can overtake Centurion in playability. Why do I think that? Well, basically just because it's more of a fleshed out archetype compared to what Centurion is, where it's only 3 monsters, while Memento is kind of a full fleshed out archetype. It just doesn't have an extra deck monster is really all it's missing. But my main problem with Memento is how fragile it is right now, because a lot of the main things revolve around Nether Soul Dragon sticking onto the field. Like the Continuous Trap needs Nether Soul Dragon on the field. The Fracture Skull, the pop 2 is not a pop 2 if you have Nether Skull, if you don't have Nether Skull Dragon on the field, right? And Mace is a snatch deal, is good if Nether Skull Dragon sticks onto the field. So if they get rid of it by saying a Kaiju or something like that, all of a sudden you're in a terrible position. All of a sudden your traps are not doing as much as you need to. all of a sudden you're not going to get that snatch tool anymore. Sorry about this little cut here. I just wanted to get this in here before someone in the comments told me this. So you might be thinking, well, Centurion is just as fragile as Memento, right? Yes and no. I think, yes, Centurion is fragile. Like, let's say you hit the field spell in Centurion, all of a sudden they're in like a fucked position, right? Because they kind of need their field spell to quick effect synchro and stuff like that. But the difference is Centurion can be splashed into different decks while Memento cannot. So let's say if you stop the Memento player from comboing, like you hit the Fairy Witch or something like that, all of a sudden you kind of just have to end there, right? Because the Memento, you know, it takes up a lot of deck space, so you kind of just have to focus on the Memento cards. So if they stop the Memento stuff, you just kind of have to pass. While with the Centurion stuff, you could throw it in, since the engine's pretty small, you can just throw it into something like a Bestial Horus deck list and kind of just go off from there. So if they stop your Centurion stuff, you're like, okay, let's go off the Horus engine, or okay, let's get into the Bestial Synchro plays and stuff like that. So I just wanted to throw that in there just in case someone wanted to say that. That's kind of my thought. I think Centurion, just because it is splashable, can make it where its fragility can be mitigated because you can go off different engines, while Memento, you cannot. Just wanted to say that before someone told me in the comments. So, as of right now, I think it's just a little too fragile, just because it can't really access that extra deck. Let's say you can end on like a Nether Skull Dragon plus other extra deck guys, like something like what Rescue is doing right now. I think this deck would be in a very good position, but the fact that you can't really make any extra deck guys right now is kind of what I think is the problem, just because you have to focus on getting Nether Skull Dragon out onto the field, and if they out it, you're in a tough position right there, right? Same thing with something like Memento Fairy Witch as well. If they just imperm the Fairy Witch, all of a sudden you're in terrible position, because Fairy Witch basically connects everything together. So if that card is negated, you're in a terrible position. Now you do have things like the Memento Bone Party, the quick play spell, to help you kind of play around the imperm and stuff like that. But you just have to consider that. So even though I think the deck is strong when it's able to combo off, the fact that it is fragile is what I think is going to be the downfall of it. Now, if they do eventually fix this in later support cards, which I hope they do, is going to be very nice as well. And if it gives it an ability to get to the extra deck, right? Like the Nether Skull Dragon has a text where it can shuffle back Memento monsters back into the extra deck. So meaning it might get an extra deck monster in the future, which is going to be nice as well. Which, if this deck can access the extra deck, is going to be very, very good. Or if this deck gets another card that treats itself as Nether Skull Dragon, maybe like an extra deck monster of that type as well, could be nice as well, because ending on 2 Nether Skull Dragons, now at that point, it's going to be hard to out both of them, not just one of them, right? I think something like Memento Boneback as well should be like a mandatory card in this deck as well. Even though it's not that great of a card, the fact that this deck is fragile enough that a Kaiju basically just outs your entire deck, right? You want something like the Boneback, so if they do something like that, you can immediately punish them, get another Nether Skull Dragon out onto the field, or if they try to, you know, DD Crow your Nether Skull Dragon in the graveyard, you can immediately just go, okay, I'm going to punish you for doing that, get a shit ton of Memento cards out onto the field. So I've seen a lot of decks not play the Memento Boneback, but I feel like it could be a mandatory staple if you want to play this deck competitively in the future, right? So that's kind of my thoughts. I think it has the most potential to actually do something compared to all the other Valiant Smashers archetype, but as of right now, I think it's just a little too fragile to be playing as of right now. But I hope they do change that in the future. They give it actual good support in the future. Now, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe for more content on the channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.